When the grizzly bear makes its move, everything else is left to hold ground. It does not simply pursue prey, it can disrupt the rhythm of any rival that dares to close in. That power comes from massive shoulders, heavy swipes, and an unwavering drive that does not pull back. Each step forward erases the margin of safety. Once the grizzly has taken control of the situation, every response comes too late. In Lamar Valley, the kingdom of giants, territory is more than land. It is a pass to survival. When two adult grizzlies meet, the air grows heavy with the pressure of dominance. This is not merely a dispute, but a test of endurance and solitary status in the heart of the wild. The opening begins with echoing roars, an attempt to impose pressure before physical force takes over. When patience runs out, an enormous mass of momentum surges forward at nearly 35 miles per hour. Heavy swipes carrying tremendous impact collide with each other, producing sounds that seem to shake the stillness of the great wilderness. Here, greater weight and seasoned technique become the ultimate advantages in deciding which one claims the higher ground. Nature also reveals a harsh hierarchy among its animals. Although both belong to the bear family, the black bear often weighs only about half as much as its rival. Faced with the overwhelming presence of the plateau's dominant ruler, the black bear is often forced to abandon its travel corridor and retreat into trees rising more than 20 feet high to preserve its safety. When the dust settles, the natural order is restored. In the world of the grizzly, absolute power is the only language that maintains respect. The victor does not merely hold the territory, but also confirms the presence of an uncrowned ruler, continuing the endless cycle of survival. In the remote valleys of North America, the gray wolf rules as a master of discipline. Each individual weighs around 110 pounds, yet the true strength of the pack lies in its ability to read the movements of its companions almost instantly. On the other side stands the grizzly bear, a living fortress that rarely seeks conflict without reason. The relationship between the two species becomes a calculated struggle for control around valuable food sources. When the giant grizzly buries animal remains beneath soil and fallen leaves to protect its energy reserve, the distinctive scent can still drift through the cold air, awakening the instincts of nearby hunters. The wolf pack begins a centrifugal encirclement strategy, moving at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour and forming tightening running loops designed to disrupt the bear's focus. In response, the grizzly rises onto its hind legs, revealing claws about 4 inches long, a firm warning of the limits of its tolerance. In this tense standoff, victory does not belong to the most aggressive contender. The outcome is determined by a calculation of survival. Which side will step back first to avoid paying too high a cost for an uncertain reward? In the wilds of Alaska, one of the planet's most remarkable biological events is nearing its final stage. Millions of sockeye salmon are making their last journey, traveling hundreds of miles upstream to sustain the next generation. But at Brooks Falls, a massive obstacle is already waiting. For the grizzly bear, this is the period of hyperphagia, a frantic race to store energy before winter pulls temperatures down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. The battle at the waterfall is not simply a hunt, but a harsh ranking of power. Each adult bear must build a fat reserve as much as 6 inches thick beneath the skin. At the most valuable positions, where the rushing current forces salmon to leap high, dominant individuals only need to wait and receive a rich flow of calories. With claws about 4 inches long, they employ the refined strategy of high grading, selecting only the fattiest portions. It is a cold calculation designed to take in as much as 90 pounds of food each day, an amount of energy equal to hundreds of human meals, simply to endure 6 long months of hibernation. As the last fish begin turning a deep red, the feast also starts to fade. The winners leave the riverbank with massive bodies, carrying immense reserves to face the northern winter. In nature's unforgiving cycle, the end of the salmon journey becomes the beginning of survival for the ruler of the high country. Beneath the shade of Alaska's pine forests, a tense encounter slowly begins to take shape. The moose, the giant of the northern wetlands, appears with a shoulder height of nearly 7 feet, antlers spreading more than 6 feet wide, and a body mass that can reach about 1,600 pounds. It is not simply a large target. It is an opponent capable of making even powerful predators hesitate. On the other side stands the grizzly bear, an animal that rarely enters risk without first recognizing an advantage. Rather than confronting directly, it often studies the terrain, waiting for the moment when the moose is pushed into shallow water or slippery mud flats, where its towering legs lose some of their natural agility. At that point, the rhythm of the encounter begins to intensify. Water splashes outward, mud churns beneath heavy movement, and each approach becomes a test of endurance, distance, and composure. As the tension stretches on, the most formidable trait of the grizzly bear gradually becomes clear: patience. It does not rush to waste energy, maintaining steady pressure while waiting for a moment of hesitation from a young, aging, or inexperienced moose. In the wild, advantage does not always belong to the larger animal. Sometimes it belongs to the one that understands exactly when to wait, when to press forward, and when the long pursuit must come to an end. Summer in the wilderness is not only a season of abundance, but also a season of relentless pursuit. Elk, muscular athletes weighing around 1,000 pounds, move in herds, relying on collective vigilance and speed to keep danger at a distance. But for the grizzly bear, moments of disorder within that formation can open an opportunity. Tension rises as the bear gradually pressures its rival toward muddy riverbanks. There, the elk's speed advantage fades across slick ground and strong currents. With a bite force of about 1,200 pounds per square inch and overwhelming weight, the grizzly turns the terrain into an advantage, transforming every approach into a test of endurance and composure. When the water slowly grows calm again, the valley is left with only the wind and the heavy breathing of the one that remains standing. A successful hunt can provide more than 100,000 calories, precious energy for enduring harsh challenges ahead. In the world of the grizzly, nature is not merely a backdrop, but the force that decides who has the strength to continue in the cycle of survival. Dawn over the Yellowstone Plateau awakens massive silhouettes within the cold mist. Herds of American bison, bodies that can weigh up to 2,200 pounds, stand firmly across the prairie like moving fortresses. With powerful shoulders and horns nearly 2 feet long, they form a defensive line strong enough to make most predators hesitate. Yet along the edge of that motion, the grizzly bear appears as a patient strategist. In nature, even collective strength can experience moments of imbalance. The grizzly does not rush forward. It keeps its distance, observing and waiting for a brief disruption within the bison formation. When the ground trembles beneath a charge reaching speeds of about 35 miles per hour from an adult defending the herd, the predator immediately steps back. And within that moment of confusion, opportunity begins to emerge. Its goal is not to confront the entire herd, but to identify a younger individual moving more slowly and easier to separate from the protective circle. Soon after, the mother turns back with determined reactions, delivering powerful kicks to protect her calf. But in encounters like this, even a brief moment of hesitation can shift the outcome. The confrontation closes not with dramatic displays of violence, but with the quiet rules of natural selection. The herd continues moving forward, while the grizzly gathers the energy needed to endure the winter drawing closer. In the cold heights of the sky, an eagle descends like a blade of wind. From heights of hundreds of feet, this hunting bird turns the sky into a domain of overwhelming control. Yet behind those powerful wings, where does the true limit of the ruler of the air begin? Or must even the sovereign of the sky risk everything in a single decisive dive? With more than 60 species found mainly across Eurasia and Africa, eagles have long stood as a symbol of power in the world of birds. Broad wings, extraordinary long-distance vision, a hooked beak, and razor-sharp talons allow the eagle to command the sky with speed and precision. Yet this status doesn't come from strength alone. Agility, balance, and the instinct to strike at the perfect moment are equally vital. In a world defined by altitude and endless open air, each glide of an eagle carries the presence of a creature born to rule the skies. When temperatures fall below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, the Caucasus Mountains become a frozen maze filled with danger. Here, a mountain goat weighing around 260 pounds holds its position on a rock ledge less than 3 inches wide. It relies on the steady grip of its hooves as a complete safeguard against any threat. Yet in a world shaped by stone and wind, that very stability can become the weakness the sky quietly exploits. During winter, when smaller animals remain hidden beneath deep snow, the golden eagle must look for larger targets. At the same time, mountain goats often grow weaker as food becomes scarce, moving more slowly and becoming easier to notice from above. It does not take long for the eagle to focus on younger individuals that have wandered away from the herd while searching for food. Turning itself into a living arrow, it descends from the clouds at speeds of nearly 150 miles per hour, using an invisible force, kinetic energy. There is no need for a direct confrontation. A precisely timed impact at the center of balance on such unstable terrain is enough to break the connection between hoof and foothold. In that instant, the predator has taken away the mountain goat's most valuable asset, its balance. At the threshold of the clouds, the laws of physics quietly complete the cycle of survival, as gravity guides life back toward the silent stillness of the mountain stone. The Amazon rainforest allows no moment of carelessness, not even a second. Here, primates survive through constant vigilance and collective strength. With each individual weighing around 11 pounds, they are masters of climbing within the dense network of branches and vines. Many groups maintain about 20 members, moving together through the tangled canopy like a single living unit. High above, the harpy eagle watches with patience. It is among the largest and most powerful eagles in the world, specializing in animals that live in the trees, such as monkeys and sloths. Relatively short wings and a long tail allow it to move with agility through the forest, where tight spaces demand near-perfect precision. When the moment appears, the harpy eagle reduces its movement, gliding through the canopy and closing the distance within only a few swift seconds. In an environment where prey often trusts the tall trees as a place of safety, that very space becomes the advantage of the hunter. Within the deep green shadows of the forest, the harpy's strength lies not in display, but in precise timing. With rear talons measuring about 4 inches long, a close approach can quickly bring the pursuit to its end. Across the dry grasslands, the coyote holds its place through agility and sharp jaws. With a weight of about 30 pounds and sprinting speeds that can reach 43 miles per hour, it is known as a master of opportunity. Yet confidence on the ground can sometimes become a vulnerability when a shadow from the clouds begins to pass overhead. When a young individual strays from the group, a golden eagle quickly turns an altitude of nearly 1,000 feet into a sudden dive. Rather than confronting the dangerous jaws directly, it aims for the center of balance to disrupt stability. The encounter often unfolds very quickly, before those below can fully react. In Africa, the warthog presents a different challenge. An adult can surge forward at about 30 miles per hour, guided by sharp tusks and strong momentum. The opportunity usually appears only when a piglet briefly moves away from the group. Using the direction of the wind, the eagle locks onto the target and withdraws at the right moment, as if it has read the rhythm of the entire herd. Across the wind-swept grasslands, the fox appears as a symbol of agility. With sensitive ears and skillful concealment, it often leaves rabbits and other small animals with little chance to escape. Yet at times, a strong focus on the ground and the push of hunger can cause its attention to drift away from the bright sky above. Several miles away, a golden eagle watches in silence. With a wingspan reaching up to 7 feet and remarkable vision, it controls the air with calm precision. Within that line of sight, an adult fox weighing around 15 pounds, no matter how clever, becomes only a small figure across the vast grassland. The strike arrives with sudden speed. The fox reacts in surprise, but the distance has closed too quickly. Talons nearly 3 inches long secure their grip before the fox can fully break away. Everything settles within moments. On this open land, the fox's cleverness is sometimes not enough to withstand the precise strike of the ruler of the sky. In the remote coastal waters of Malaysia, nature has shaped a striking encounter between two extremes. Beneath the waves, sea snakes carry a powerful chemical defense, an ability that causes most ocean hunters to remain cautious. Yet this safety has a limit created by a basic biological need: oxygen. To refill lungs that stretch nearly the length of the body, these reptiles must rise to the surface, unintentionally revealing their position to the living sentinels patrolling the sky. From above, the white-bellied sea eagle performs a precise dive. Using a swift grab-and-lift technique, the bird raises its target from the water and carries the encounter into the air. Under the pressure of altitude, the snake attempts to rely on its chemical defense, but each response becomes less effective against the bird's remarkable control of space and movement. The secret behind this dominance lies in legs covered with thick, horn-like scales that form armor-like protection against rapid strikes. Across many regions, names such as the brown snake eagle and the short-toed snake eagle have long been associated with this specialized skill. The combination of biological armor and refined instinct turns each encounter into a clear example of adaptation, where the eagle reinforces the natural balance between sky and sea. Antelope and deer are true athletes, known for their extremely fast reflexes. An adult can weigh from about 100 pounds to more than 300 pounds, carrying sharp horns and a powerful backward kick capable of causing serious harm. Compared with an eagle that weighs only around 15 pounds, such a target may appear almost impossible. Yet in the natural world, size is not everything. Across the savanna grasslands, the martial eagle has been known for some of the most daring hunting attempts. It may focus on young antelope even while the mother stands nearby. The mother's protective instinct is strong and courageous. Yet in the face of a sudden aerial threat, every attempt to shield the young can sometimes come too late. The martial eagle then rises back into the air carrying vital food for its nest, leaving the grassland in a quiet and solemn stillness. Field observations show that the martial eagle does not hesitate to approach animals much larger than itself. Even though the success rate with fully grown antelope remains close to 5%, it still reflects a remarkable survival instinct unfolding beneath the vast open sky. The lion surges forward like a force that breaks the still rhythm of the grassland. This predator does not need to display dominance. It simply closes the distance with the confidence of a ruler. The prey is left with almost no room to turn as the pressure steadily tightens. Even large and highly alert rivals can lose their footing when that presence moves in. And that is what defines the lion's position in every hunt across the savanna. The lion is one of the few big cats that turns strength into a structured way of life. Within the pride, lionesses lead the hunt, protect the young, and maintain social cohesion. Male lions apply pressure through size, their roar, and the mane of a territorial guardian. Each individual holds a different role, yet all contribute to the authority of the pride. That is why the lion is not only the ruler of the savanna, but also a key force in maintaining the balance of the grassland. On the sunlit floodplains of the Serengeti, calm is only a fragile mask. Here, spotted hyenas, opportunists weighing around 140 pounds, move with calculated chaos, confronting the disciplined order of a lion pride. What stands between them is more than a struggle for food. It is a long-standing rivalry embedded in instinct. Their low, echoing calls rise like a challenge as they attempt to surround the lionesses. Yet that confidence fades the moment a manned figure steps out from the brush. Standing close to 4 feet at the shoulder, the male lion does not rely on strategy. It uses sheer power to break through the formation. In a sudden surge, confusion spreads through the hyena clan as they recognize the cost of crossing into claimed ground. A single strike from that mass of muscle is enough to break the resistance of the slowest individual, restoring order through overwhelming force. The confrontation does not always end with adults. In an effort to reduce future competition, lions may target young hyenas if their den is discovered. This is not driven by revenge, but by a practical survival strategy shaped by long-term pressure. As the encounter settles, it leaves behind a quiet but firm message. This land is already claimed. In this demanding cycle, understanding one's place is essential to survival. On the sunlit grassland, a confrontation unfolds between a solitary giant and a highly coordinated hunting pack, charged with intensity. An adult lioness weighing around 300 pounds stands firm like a muscular stronghold against the overwhelming presence of nearly 20 African wild dogs. This is not merely a contest over food, but a demanding test between collective strength and the authority of a top predator. Facing a pack capable of maintaining speeds close to 37 miles per hour, the lioness does not waste energy on prolonged chases. Instead, it uses dominance to disrupt the opponent's coordination. Through short, explosive bursts, it breaks through their layered formation, asserting control over the territory with decisive pressure. By targeting key positions with direct, strategic actions, the lioness may bring down slower individuals to re-establish order. This behavior reflects not only survival competition, but also a natural mechanism that helps regulate population balance among apex predators. Under the intense heat of the dry season, the river is no longer a place of safety. A Nile crocodile, about 15 feet long, and carrying a bite force of up to 3,700 pounds per square inch, finds itself caught along a fragile line of survival. As water levels recede, this king of the wetlands is forced onto land, stepping into the domain of the Savanna's most coordinated hunters. The lion pride detects the vulnerability. They do not rush in blindly. Instead, a pincer formation takes shape, closing off every path back to the water. The encounter becomes a measured contest of pressure. On the dry ground, the crocodile's limited mobility becomes a critical disadvantage, and its dominant role begins to give way under the pride's coordination and strategy. At this boundary between water and dust, raw power yields to collective precision. Another chapter of the Savanna comes to a close, leaving a clear reminder: no position remains unchallenged when nature begins to shift the balance. Under the scorching sun of the African continent, the hippopotamus stands like a moving fortress, weighing over 4,000 pounds. Spending much of its time submerged in still water, that slow appearance conceals a highly territorial and defensive nature. A single misstep from any intruder is enough to trigger a sudden burst of force, turning its massive jaws into a formidable weapon. But when night falls, the balance begins to shift. Away from the safety of the water, the hippo becomes isolated in the presence of highly skilled predators. Its thick skin, once a source of resilience, is no longer an effective shield against coordinated pressure and endurance tactics from a lion pride. The grassland hunters move in sync, repeatedly applying pressure from behind, using collective weight and persistence to wear down the massive animal. Each attempt to push back is quickly offset by the pride's agility. This intense encounter becomes a test of limits and endurance. If it cannot return to the water in time, the exposed giant gradually loses energy under sustained pressure, providing a vital source of nourishment for the pride. However, the line between success and danger remains thin. With a bite force of around 1,800 pounds per square inch, a single well-timed counter from the hippo can immediately halt the advance. In the cycle of survival, strength is not defined by power alone, but by recognizing the fine boundary between risk and restraint among nature's most formidable animals. The oryx stands as a proud duelist of the desert, its long, straight horns rising like sharpened blades. With powerful muscles and a weight of around 400 pounds, it does not hesitate to use these natural weapons to push back even the most formidable predators. Exceptional heat tolerance and endurance allow the oryx to command harsh regions of Namibia, where survival is measured in every scarce drop of water. On damp floodplains, natural gathering points for these long-horned animals, with horns stretching over 3 feet, 2 young lions wait with patience. A calculated stalking sequence begins. Rather than confronting the defensive horns head-on, one lion reveals itself, guiding the target toward a partner already in position. The oryx is not easily pressured. It repeatedly lowers its head, turning its horns into an almost impenetrable barrier. Then, in a brief instant, the momentum shifts. Taking advantage of a single opening, the lion releases a surge of strength, creating a powerful impact. The oryx resists and struggles to hold its ground, but against the combined strategy and force of the predators, its efforts gradually lose ground. What remains is a hard-earned lesson in persistence and authority within the balance of the wild. Under the intense heat of the Savanna basin, a presence weighing around 13,000 pounds stands like an unyielding fortress. With skin nearly 1 inch thick and strong herd intelligence, an adult African elephant has almost no natural challengers. Its presence alone signals authority, enough to make even the most confident predators keep their distance. But in the wild, a minor leg injury or a moment of isolation can shift that position. Taking advantage of the slowed movement of a vulnerable giant, a pair of lions remains persistent, turning the encounter into a demanding test of endurance. Without relying on display, they focus on timing and pressure, using the elephant's disrupted breathing in an open clearing. The encounter settles into stillness, shaped by the quiet rules of survival. A source of nearly 600,000 calories becomes available, enough to sustain a pride of around 15 individuals for several days. From a distance, another adult stands watching, its gaze reflecting an awareness of the cost of isolation across the open land. What remains on the grassland is not simply an ending, but a reminder of the discipline and cohesion that define survival in a demanding natural world. The balance shifts in a single lightning-fast surge. The moment a brief opening appears, the close approach arrives without warning. There is no need for display. Precision alone is enough to slow the opponent's rhythm. Here, even half a second of hesitation can change the balance of survival. When the hunter suddenly loses control of the moment, who will remain standing in the end? Snakes, mysterious legless hunters of the natural world. Belonging to the order Squamata, with more than 3,000 species spread across the planet, they have adapted to nearly every landscape except the frozen polar regions. Some species possess potent biological venom used for hunting and defense, while others subdue prey by tightening powerful coils. Snakes play an important ecological role by helping control rodent populations and serving as an essential link within the natural food chain. Hidden beneath the ancient forests of Southeast Asia, where light is trapped within deep layers of green, a symbol of pure power takes form: the king cobra. With an astonishing length of up to 18 feet, it holds the crown as the largest venomous snake on Earth. But today, this master predator faces a severe challenge. Standing before it is the mongoose, far smaller in size but well known for speed, precision, and extremely fast reflexes. As the distance closes, the king cobra immediately shifts into an active defensive posture. It raises the front of its body, lifting itself to nearly 6 feet, spreads its hood, and keeps the target firmly within range. From that position, it delivers a rapid forward movements, forcing the opponent to evade within an extremely narrow space. If it cannot control the distance, the snake's advantage begins to fade with each rise of its body. But with the right timing, it can still force the opponent to abandon any attempt to move closer. In the wild, the king cobra is not only a formidable defender, it is also a specialized snake hunter, sometimes even pursuing others of its own kind. That is the clearest sign of a predator that maintains its advantage through power, precision, and the ability to control the rhythm of survival. In the dark waters of the Everglades in Florida, power is not expressed through roars, but through silence. The Burmese python appears as a formidable ambush predator, its 16-foot body nearly invisible among the reeds. As an invasive species that has reshaped the ecological landscape, it does not rely on venom. Its strength comes from hundreds of pounds of pure muscle. A young alligator makes the mistake of underestimating the intruder. Once it secures its grip, the python relies on its signature method, tightening coils. As powerful coils wrap around the opponent's 200-pound body, each outward breath from the alligator allows the grip to tighten further, gradually reducing the rhythm of movement. On another continent, curiosity places a lioness in a dangerous situation. In a brief instant, a rock python lunges forward, locking onto the target with immense pressure. The lioness responds with powerful kicks in an effort to break free from the tightening coils. Although she manages to escape with her life, the encounter remains a lasting lesson about survival in the wilderness. Imagine a creature that treats snake venom like seasoning for a meal. The honey badger does not fight merely to survive. It fights because that is the way it lives. Weighing only about 30 pounds, the honey badger is a true outlaw of the wild, armed with thick skin and an attitude that seems to challenge every law of nature. Facing it is the king cobra, a predator carrying venom powerful enough to overwhelm even a strong opponent in moments. The encounter erupts as the snake displays its full striking power. Even though the honey badger's 0.24-inch thick skin is as tough as armor, the snake continues searching for an opening, using its flexible spine to encircle and launch relentless counterattacks. At the height of the clash, the reptile relies on speed, reach, and precision, repeatedly testing for a narrow opening. Even as the honey badger uses its strong jaws to clamp down on the opponent, the snake still manages to leave behind one final gift. The venom takes effect, leaving the honey badger unsteady before it becomes still for a time. For a moment, everything seems over. Yet a biological marvel follows. After nearly 2 hours of lying still while its body processes the venom, the outlaw rises again and returns to the scene. In this unforgiving world, the honey badger's fearlessness is unmatched, but the power of the snake remains the harshest test of that reputation. The African savanna does not operate by the rule of size, but by biological limits that every species must respect. Within that landscape, the black mamba emerges as a presence that even large predators approach with caution. Reaching lengths of up to 14 feet, with a slender body and little need for display, this snake creates pressure not through sound, but through the tense stillness surrounding it. When an adult lion accidentally crosses that boundary, the air seems to tighten. The mamba does not retreat. With the fastest movement recorded among snakes, about 12 miles per hour, it can turn stillness into a sudden, lightning-fast response. Its most formidable tool, hidden behind the dark interior of its mouth, is not bite force, but a powerful neurotoxin. Just a few drops of venom can affect the nervous system of even a large animal in less than 20 minutes. For a predator, the greatest mistake is often not a lack of strength, but a moment of overconfidence. For that reason, this encounter is more than a meeting between a snake and a symbol of the grasslands. It also explains why lionesses quickly guide their cubs away when a mamba appears. Those hurried steps back are not a sign of weakness, but an instinct for survival in the presence of a threat that even the top hunters of the Savanna do not take lightly. Under the intense sun of the Sonoran Desert, a rattlesnake more than 4 feet long lies coiled, absorbing warmth from the ground. The stillness is quickly broken when a roadrunner appears, setting the stage for a high-stakes encounter of survival. At that moment, the desert becomes a racetrack of nervous systems. The snake immediately activates its warning signal, shaking its tail at nearly 90 vibrations per second, twice the wing-beat speed of a hummingbird, sending a sharp sound across the dry landscape. It responds with rapid defensive motions, reaching speeds of about 8.2 feet per second. Facing serious danger, the bird, weighing barely 1 pound, reacts with remarkable speed. It fluffs its feathers to create a false target, weaving through the space with split-second reflexes and sudden changes of direction that redirect the snake's strike in an instant. At the right moment, it uses the rocky ground to disrupt the snake's angle of defense. However, in a brief moment of miscalculation, the line between safety and danger shifts. One well-timed strike changes the entire situation, leaving the hunter's effort with little room to continue. But the desert does not lean to one side forever. When a red-tailed hawk drops from the sky, the chase on the ground shifts at once, forcing the rattlesnake into a defensive coil at a clear disadvantage. Within only a few brief seconds, the advantage of the ground gives way to the precise hunting instinct of the one that rules the sky. At an altitude of about 500 feet above the sunlit grasslands, the boundary between ruler and hunted becomes thinner than ever. A golden eagle with a wingspan exceeding 6 feet has just completed a powerful dive through the open air. Yet the target this time proves far from easy to subdue. Talons nearly 3 inches long, one of nature's most refined tools, fail to secure a critical hold on the opponent. That small margin of error opens the door to an unexpected response. The reptile takes advantage of its flexible spine, twisting its body nearly 180 degrees in a split second. It wraps tightly around the predator's leg with gripping force measured in dozens of pounds, turning itself into a living chain. At that moment, the effects of venom begin to take hold, gradually weakening the eagle's control in flight. The hunt comes to a halt. The powerful wing beats fade, leaving only the quiet descent of a once commanding hunter, facing nature's uncompromising balance. After each clash, the grizzly leaves behind the mark of a power that cannot be underestimated. It dominates through sheer size, holds its ground through relentless endurance, and finishes with heavy, direct pressure. That is what has made it one of the most formidable pursuers in the wild. If you want to keep watching intense moments like these, tap like on the video. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next encounters ahead.